UIC.
Freedom the people of
Hell yeah.
freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah,
Yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. That when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. Are you I see?
Hi, good evening. I hope you can hear me clearly. Seem to be having some internet trouble right off the bat, but good evening, welcome. Let me know if you can hear me clearly before I say anything else. Let me know if you can hear me, please, by typing in the comment box. Let me see here. So if it's not clear whether or not you can hear me, I'm trying to fix this here. I'm having some internet connection problems. Let's see. Okay, let's try this one here. Connectivity challenges. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me where you are? Not seeing any comments yet in the chat box. Let's see here. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Let me know, please. Shar, can you check to see if you can hear me on... You can hear me? Oh, well, wonderful. I'm not seeing any comments in the chat box, so nobody's saying good night, so I'm not sure if they can hear me. But I'm glad to know you can. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. As always, this is Joseph Patterson, President of the UIC. Impromptu, we're just going to chat. So I'm hoping I can get you in the chat box so we can talk about things of concern to you. I saw in the papers today where the government is announcing that they're going to implement some kind of digital library so that Jamaicans can access, information and learning. As you know, this is one of the UIC's policies, so I'm very happy to see them copying another one. But of course, I'm concerned that they don't have a good track record of implementing anything. So chances are they're going to copy it only for the purpose of taking the talking points, being able to say that they're doing something, but in effect will do nothing. So I'm very concerned about that. Not sure why I'm not seeing anything here in the in the um, in the chat box. I can't hear from you. I can't see. Anyways, maybe what you can do is if you want to write to me. So let me see what's happening on our Facebook side. Maybe people are writing there. I can pick up. Wow. Okay. Even the title not right, but hey, that's what's new. Yes, I see some people writing here on the Facebook page, one of our Facebook pages. Um, Hello, Lydia Taylor. Hello, Ming Knight. Good to see you on. My technology is not working very well on here, so I can't see what's happening out there. Um, but yeah, so they're copying the one more of our policies. But I really wish and hope that they would copy all of our policies and actually implement them so that the Jamaican people could really benefit. Because we know that they've had 78 years to do all of these things and they have not been able to do them. But now they're active, they're very engaged right now because they're trying to hang on to power, and they know that the UIC is coming up sharply. Yes, we don't have the money, we don't have the resources to run up and down like they do and to be all over the place. But they're very, very concerned because what the UIC has done is we have put before the people a clear platform, manifesto, which is not built but on actual plans that will turn Jamaica around and put us on a solid path that will make Jamaica the safe place it needs to be, the clean place it needs to be, the orderly place it needs to be. You would have heard the Prime Minister recently, they're now talking about cleaning up the place and they're getting more concerned about that because the UIC has made that a major plank in our platform that we must have a clean and green Jamaica, not laborite green, green in the sense of an environment that is well maintained, that is beautiful, that is inspiring for all communities in all 14 parishes. So you're talking about looking at a Jamaica that looks like, at a minimum, uh, one of our best parks, Emancipation Parks. You want the whole Jamaica to look neat and clean like that, not just because it's in front of the Pegasus and you know it's there to bring off that product and prevent that product from watering down. The people in the private sector, they know what Jamaica needs to be like for all of us Jamaicans to enjoy a quality Jamaica. There's no doubt about that. They know, but they do not give that to all of Jamaica. They only have, a few spots, a few places, the tourist resort areas and areas that, is important to their immediate business environment, that they try to make sure that that looks good, because they know the impact of a dirty place, a smelly place, an unclean place, that it's bad for business, it's bad for the morale of the people, it's bad for the customers, the kind of customers that they're trying to attract. But the UIC wants to see all Jamaicans as the customers that needs to be cared for and treated with respect, with the same level of respect that we want to show to tourists, the same level of courtesy that we want to show to tourists. The UIC wants a government that will show that level of courtesy and respect to the Jamaican people here in Jamaica. And so that is why it is our policy to change the model of tourism in Jamaica to an all-inclusive package, which includes all of Jamaica. So our all-inclusive is not a gated tourist resort that you go inside and they lock you off from the rest of Jamaica because of how bad the rest of Jamaica is. We want to make the tourism product all of Jamaica, all inclusive, and our first customer is the people of Jamaica to have and to enjoy a high quality society, a high quality community, high quality residences, good streets, sidewalks, street lights, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we want for Jamaica. We don't want to have multiple Jamaica, a Jamaica for the tourists and a different Jamaica for the people of Jamaica, or a Jamaica for the upper class and a different Jamaica for the rest of Jamaicans, whatever class you want to class them at. We want a product that will meet the needs and exceed the expectations of Jamaicans. And that brings me to what we did this Saturday. We went to St. Thomas. We have kicked off our All Island tour. We did one in December. I know we have kicked off another one with a different twist. This time we started in St. Thomas, because the last time we went to 13 parishes and we never quite made it to St. Thomas because of some difficulties we had along the way. So on Saturday, we went to St. Thomas. It was a beautiful experience being with the people in St. Thomas, but it was a treacherous experience traveling um, to St. Thomas. Once you get out of Kingston and you hit the main road going through to St. Thomas, it is brutally painful. Um, Everybody knows that if you're going to do road works, you have to carefully plan the road works so that you minimize the negative impact on the citizens and on commuters, and that you minimize cost as much as possible within that context, and that you plan in such a way that you're going to end up with a well-designed, well-built, and subsequently well-maintained um, set of roads. Now, the government saw it fit to have some contractors, I guess, dig up the entire road from, you know, Kingston to deep into St. Thomas. We went as far as Morant Bay, and the vast majority of that road has been dug up for a long time now. The people were complaining to us. The road has been dug up for a very, very long time, right? And so the people now driving, something that should take you 15 minutes will take you 45 minutes in driving. If you're walking, remember there wasn't any sidewalk in the first place for many. So now it's worse. The whole area is dug up, so it's mud, it is um, uneven surfaces, sharp stones. Um, it's just horrible. And so massive wear and tear on your vehicle. Very difficult for even persons walking on the road, let alone those trying to ride or drive. Very dangerous situation because some drivers, because they bought their licenses, they don't drive defensively, how to drive courteously, how to drive carefully. So they're not trained properly, but they're using the road with the rest of us who are decent and disciplined. So dangerous drivers, dangerous road, and all because of bad governance. If you think about it, if you had good governance, you would have a proper roadworks department that would plan the construction and maintenance of roads. So what you would have, it's very simple. You would you would dig up a section that you want to address, a relatively short section, and you would complete that section and then dig up the other section and complete that section. So at any given time, you would not have disrupted a tremendous length of road and leave the people in a desperate position because now they have all the dust, all the and what's happening, because they have dug up all of the road. Whenever the rain falls, it just quickly destroyed the road even faster. So it's better if they had left the relatively bad road, which was asphalted with some potholes and so on. Leave that there for now and dig up a section that you're going to repair immediately and repair that section immediately and then go to the next one. What they did was to dig up the whole thing all at once with no immediate planned schedule to immediately fix it. And so now the people are left in this treacherous condition for months and months and months. So on Saturday in our town hall meeting in St. Thomas at the Morant Bay Primary School, one resident, an elderly lady, got up and explained how costly it was for her, not just in terms of money, but in terms of her health, because in the process of trying to negotiate those streets, without proper sidewalk and no sidewalk in many cases, and the whole road is dug up uneven with sharp, jaggedy rocks and stones, and then all that kind of stuff. She fell and damaged her hand, cheek, her feet, you know, and these are senior citizens. So they don't really care. And if you look at the way we run Jamaica, we hardly care. There's hardly any respect for the citizens of Jamaica by the government. Hardly any. So they don't really care about you having proper sidewalks to walk on. In some places you have it, in some places you don't, right? Much of the work happens in special areas, but across the country, and for sure, St. Thomas is one of those forgotten places. And so this poor elderly lady, a sweet lady. I mean, I was so pleased to speak with her on Saturday when I was in St. Thomas. Um, had to suffer the indignity of walking and falling and hurting herself in that environment. And she's not alone. As we went across the length and breadth of Morat Bay, the refrain from everyone, whether it's Patrick who sells soup on the side or Miss Mabel who was at the bus terminal, all the people had the same major concern that the road condition is absolutely atrocious and it is costing them in so many ways. It makes their trip longer. It creates dust pollution that affects them biologically and also make their place of business dirty and require more maintenance and care. It is causing greater wear and tear on their vehicles, making it hard for them. In fact, one of the complaints they had was that they can't get transportation after 5 o'clock. There's pretty much almost nothing available. So life is very difficult for the people out there in St. Thomas. My heart goes out to you. I thought we had it bad in some areas we have over here on the side where I live, which is in St. Elizabeth. But when I see what my fellow Jamaicans are suffering in St. Thomas, I was absolutely appalled. So I'm calling upon the Prime Minister and the relevant ministries and agencies to step in now and really, really help our people out. We can't afford to continue this kind of arrangement for the people in St. Thomas. Um, During my time in St. Thomas, I have a chance to speak with police officers as well, and I'm very happy for that. So I spoke with some police officers, a wide cross section of people. I also met with some Rastafarians, some Garveyites, lovely people, and we had a chance to, my wife and I, so we were there the night before, and so we went down into the town and we bought some food and just chat with some people, and it was really nice connecting with people. They didn't know who we were because we weren't wearing our UIC shirt or anything, and it was kind of nighttime, and we just went through the town and look and see how things are. Earlier in the day, we had a chance to see the kind of traffic congestions, the tiny streets, uh, the trying to sell their wares in the limited spaces that were, and just look at. My wife said to me, we were driving, to say, have they forgotten about St. Thomas? It's, have they forgotten that is this a forgotten place, a forsaken place? To be fair, the government is building. There's a stretch of road, a small portion of the overall thing that has been nicely done, and I hope that it was properly designed, and properly built. I mean, because sometimes the things can look good enough. Like some of the Chinese products, they can look good, but they're not actually built well, right? So I'm hoping that the stretch that was looking nice, that it's really built properly. But overall, though, you can just look at St. Thomas and see neglect. You can see that it's a place where it has not been represented in any way in the planning and management of this country. Absolutely not managed at all, not cared for, not planned. It's just there existing. And the young people have no hope. They don't know where they're going, whether they're coming or going. Everybody just wants a visa to leave this country. Almost everybody you talk to, they just want to leave the country. Now, I remember in the days when people used to want to run away from communist countries, dictatorships, they'll be on boats trying to get out. They're running, from one side of Germany to the next to get away from, um, communism and dictatorships and totalitarian regimes. And here we are in Jamaica for years upon years upon years. Our people are lining up for hours in the sun, um, uh, just to get a visa because they want to leave this country. We have 400 teachers that are leaving because they're tired of this country. It's not meeting their basic Their paycheck cannot keep up with the cost of living. They're afraid of the healthcare system. They're not happy with the direction of the education system. So it saddens me to see that after 78 years of these two, I call them colonial parties because they were sponsored by the colonial masters and used to push out the Marcus Garvey party, which was the true indigenous grassroots party of the Jamaican people. So these two colonial parties, they have been in power now for 78 years. And the product that we have, are you satisfied with that? I can't believe that anyone would want to continue to vote for this and so on. So the UIC has put together a plan. We call it our 10-point plan, and that plan is to address 10 core issues in Jamaica that I hope you have familiarized yourself with. It's on our website. The first part of the plan is very critical, and when I met with the people in St. Thomas, um, I see how critical this part of our 10-point plan is. And I know that the powers that be will imitate the wording and imitate the ideas. But as I said earlier on, I hope that they will truly take them and fully implement them to better the people of Jamaica. But the first plank in our plan is a youth employment solution. And that part of the plan is to ensure that every child leaving our high school system today are brought into full employment immediately as an apprentice, getting a decent income where he learns and works and adds value in a company, in an organization, whatever organization it is, whether it's a public sector organization or a private sector organization. That child would go in, um, leaving school at 18. If they're not going to university, or they're not going on to a trades program or some other gainful employment or activity, once they're not going into anything like that, we don't want to leave them at home to languish. We don't want to leave them loitering in the community. We don't want to leave them sitting on the street corner, because the longer you leave them unemployed, is the more unemployable they will become, because the little knowledge that they learned when they were in school, they would have gradually forgotten all of this and quickly get into some form of problems. It might be the problem of um, depression, because when you are a young man or young woman and you've finished high school, is quite traumatic. You're no longer going to a regular scheduled program to be in front of a teacher and to be with your peers in a fairly protected environment. Now you're at home. Your parents are probably still trying to go out there and hustle. Maybe you're living with a single mother, or a single father, or a guardian who is busy, or who might be a grandmother who is incapable of keeping up with all of the challenges. And so this 18-year-old now goes home and is just there in the community. And I see it. I see it here in my community in Northeast St. Elizabeth, in Elam, in Brays River, in Shiloh, in Santa Cruz. You see them. Today I went to the car wash, and a 13-year-old young man washed my car for me. Um, I was very pleased with him, by the way, because he was such an adorable little fellow. I loved the patois and talk, but he was just so matter of fact, and he was so engaged in carrying out his task. I was quite proud of him. And so the cost of washing the vehicle, because I only did the outside, was $500, and I had given him $1,000, and he brought back the change of 500. But just because of his mannerism and customer service, and the way he conducted himself, I gave him, the other 500. But I'm concerned about him. I'm glad that he is engaged the way he is, and it's very profitable and fruitful for him, because he has a part-time job. It's summertime now, and he's working at this car wash, quite a few of them actually. I saw about 3 or 4 of them working there, and that's good. And we want to encourage that. But what I'm saying is, when they leave high school, when they finish high school now and go home and now have nothing to do, that's a dangerous point in their lives, a very, very dangerous point. So the UIC's plan of a youth employment solution program is to absorb every single one of them coming out of high school. So no more young people will be left exposed and available for the gangs and for getting pregnant or getting into all kind of mischief or crime or just languishing away. We're going to stop the bleeding instantly when we come into office. Now, I welcome the Prime Minister taking this plan. I would be very happy if he took this and tomorrow I hear that's the program they're to implement. And don't just talk about it, Mr. Prime Minister. Do it. I mean, really do it. Do it fully. Don't just put out a PR piece, a nice PR piece with nice graphics and a few ribbon cutting exercises and nice pronouncement. No, I want you to do it for real. Do it really. Absorb all of these young people coming out of our school system now, those who did not pass enough subjects to matriculate for university or college, or who are not going into a trades program or an athletics program. Absorb all of those so-called at-risk youths and bring them into a program as the UIC has designed, the Youth Employment Solution Program, as apprentices where they get a regular salary, not as high as those who are experienced. They must get a salary commensurate with their level of experience. And it grows if they as they mature in the job. And then of course they can leave at any time and go into a job of their choosing, but we don't allow them to stay out there languishing in society and then gradually becoming a part of the problem instead of a part of the solution. So that's the Youth Employment Solution program. Now, I noticed that the Prime Minister has borrowed another one of our ideas, which he's now talking about things like, you know, fighting crime a bit differently. I think he's coming to the realization, as I said publicly many times before now, that you cannot use states of emergencies and you cannot use so-called zones of special operations um, as the solution to the crime problem in Jamaica. Now, I know they're pussyfooting around it and they're not coming to the crux of the matter. I saw where the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner of Police have just been rated as um, the Jamaican people having practically no confidence at all in them, and rightly so. I have no confidence in them, but it has taken the nation some time to come to the full realization. I told you before that they would not have achieved anything. And here's the reason why the Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister, who promised us that we'll be able to sleep with our windows and doors open, here's why they cannot achieve anything significant on the crime front. We cannot ask those who are a key part of the crime problem to solve the crime problem. So we're asking those who are a part of the most corrupt center. They are the center of corruption in Jamaica. All of the corruption practices, all of the decay in our society emanates from them. The criminal elements we have in our society today are the byproducts of their criminal activities in the past. So when you have two governing parties, whether they're in government or opposition, right? Two governing parties that have consistently used acts of crime to achieve state power, you cannot now expect them to then become a strong agent against crime. It's like asking the fox to guard the hen house. Yep. It's like asking a wolf to take care of the sheep. So we cannot continue to even remotely hope and expect that somehow, miraculously, these two parties that are at the epicenter of our crime problems, that are at the genesis of our crime problems, to suddenly take on the characteristics necessary to solve it. Here's how the UIC is going to solve the crime problem in Jamaica. The first part of it has to do with what I said before. We must have a youth employment solution program to absorb all of the young people who are coming out of our schools and those who are currently out of school and unemployed, absorb all of them into a national program that is called the Youth Employment Solution. Uh, Pair them up as apprentices in existing businesses right across the country to lift their productivity, improve their work skills, and lift the national productivity of the country. But on top of that, we need to go one step further. We need to have what I call a Truth and Reconciliation Commission coupled with an amnesty program. Now, you know the Prime Minister has dabbled with some amnesty program, but it was ridiculous. The amnesty program that he brought in place was to buy back guns from the criminals. Now, come on, what are you saying here? So the criminals get to bring in their old guns and trade those in for some better ones because the Prime Minister gave them the money to do that. So really ridiculous. Our program, our program of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission and an amnesty program will work this way. We are going to open a commission that will incentivize all Jamaicans with credible information about the crime problem in Jamaica from as far back as they're able to recall and contribute to help us to fully understand what what caused this problem and what is maintaining this problem. All the persons who come forward and speak from whatever uh, level of society, once they give us credible information, they will not have to serve jail time. They will get a chance to transition through a reform program and back into society. And as long as this credible information leads us to getting to those who have not come forward and to charge and prosecute and uh, you know arrest those and who have participated in the crime problem. Uh, I expect that primarily those at the bottom of the problem will come forward based on how we would structure it. And those at the top, many of them would want to hide away from it. But the evidence that we gather will be able to get to them. This will eliminate the problem from the top down. I would also make sure that we investigate all of our political and business leaders to identify the source of their assets and wealth to ensure that we verify that they have not benefited from the proceeds of crime. So, a careful forensic investigation of past and present leaders to the extent possible, um, uh, proper auditing, bringing in external parties to help us with this and get to the bottom of it. We must create an environment where those who are leading the crime syndicates, those who are leading the organized crime in our society, will become very, very afraid of operating in Jamaica because of the new environment that we set up. And working our way down through society, we will have been able to eliminate much of the problem and bring crime to a manageable level. On top of that, we will have our army serve its correct purpose of border control. So once you have the army getting involved in border control, what you're going to have happening there now is they're going to be separate from the police force. We not have them involved in police work at all, like the Prime Minister is doing now. Fully separate the army and the police. The two shall not meet in that sense. And so the army will take care of border control. So the entire borders of Jamaica, from an intelligence standpoint, from a physical custom standpoint, from a Coast Guard standpoint, a complete lockdown of the border. So nothing gets into Jamaica that we don't want to get into Jamaica, and nothing gets out that we don't want to get out. And so you're going to see now a complete stoppage of the illegal guns and ammunition coming in. So gun crime is going to go down tremendously with the approach that we're going to put in place. Of course, I'm not telling you everything, right? Because some of these things you can't share all of it. Not so much because I don't want the prime minister and opposition leader to take it, but because you cannot afford to tell the criminals everything you're going to do. But generally speaking, we're going to create a Truth and Reconciliation Commission with a amnesty program, together with a border control system that is going to really lock down the criminals and free up the people of Jamaica. You must augment this, however, by really focusing on better hiring practices for the police. So you want to hire people with the proper competencies to be a good police officer. You want to get them properly trained, properly equipped, and make sure the environment in which they have to operate, that is the police station, is a place that somebody would like to work. The facility must be good. I know that the government has done some improvements there, but I'm speaking generally now. It's been horrendous for years and continues to be bad. But most importantly, we have to pay our police officers well. You cannot afford to continue to have our police officers working in an environment or at a compensation level that forces them to take a second or third form of employment. Most police officers are moonlighting. They're doing something on the side because their salary is just not enough to take care of their needs. And this compromises them. It puts them in a number of compromising positions. It also erodes the level of respect that the society has for the police officer. And you can't afford for your policemen and women not to be highly respected persons in their respective community. The next thing we want to do is to make sure we really build a community policing structure where the police works and live in the community and is a part of the community social development. So they're a part of you know, the church, the community center, the health center, the education system. The police must become an integral part of this. So they're not just there to hunt down criminals. They're there to help prevent the creation of criminals. So they're helping the parents parent. They're helping the community to be civil and to have proper community watch and proper civil society groups and proper youth programs. And they're a part of that infrastructure. So the police become highly respected, very visible, and know about what's happening at the community level. And by this, help to create the kind of society and the kind of communities we once had, where we were connected with each other, we weren't isolated as much as we were, and so on. But now we're reconnecting. So this all requires design, so it means, for example, our community center. Most communities do not have a working community center, a quality community center that is designed to bring the community together. So the UIC is going to do that. We believe every community must have a beautiful community park where you can go and sit down on a Saturday evening or a Sunday afternoon. It must be properly lit. It must have proper benches. It must be botanical with nice gardens and trees and a few commercial things like ice cream or whatever, something like Devon House. Not necessarily as big as Devon House, but something similar and more open and available, like Emancipation Park, you know, and well kept with public washrooms and you know nice grass and so on. Something the entire community can be proud of. A lovely park, supported by a physical building, a lovely community center with Wi-Fi access, a digital library attached, uh, a gymnasium, a study center, some meeting rooms for community groups to meet in. It's well scheduled and managed. So you have staff involved, so it's not just left open and mashed up. So staff and security and all of that is there. And so the community can enjoy this. And so if you have community parks, beautiful parks, a community center, a police service where the police is a part of the community, and you encourage civil society group and civic activities, you bring the community together and you reduce the likelihood of crime. And remember, as I said before, we would have had the Youth Employment Solution Program. So we're not allowing the youths to be left idle. We're keeping them in an environment from school to work. And through that, of course, some will become entrepreneurs, some will become sports stars, some will become, entertainers, some will become software developers, whatever it is. But we must create a different environment if we want a different outcome. And you're going to read and hear more about this from the two parties. They're very good at copying everything I say. But do not be fooled by that. Ask yourself one simple question. Every time you see them come out with a new thing that the UIC has said, ask yourself this simple question. Why didn't you do that over the 78 years that you have been around? Why is only now you're talking about all these things and getting all excited about claiming you're going to do it? That's because you're only doing it to win another term, right? These guys are very short. All of their actions are built purely on winning elections. It's not built on building solid Jamaica that will cause our people not want to have to run away from Jamaica, but can see a future here. Yep. So, as I said before, what I just told you, is fixing a number of problems. Crime is being solved. Our police officers are being respected and given the kind of compensation. But there's something else I want to tell you about policing that is critical. Right now in the police force, and I hate the word force. I mean, I want a police service. But right now in the police force, they do not have a system of meritocracy where you rise through the ranks based on merit. And that is a key problem in the police force, because they are, what do you call it now, demotivating many members of the service because it's not clear how you will rise through the ranks. It's too political. It's politicized, and it's not meritocratic. And by that I mean you're not rising through the ranks because you have earned your way up. You're rising through the ranks because of connections, political connections and that kind of stuff. And we are going to get rid of that. You will rise through the ranks anywhere in the public service based on performance and performance only. There must be no other basis. Not because somebody like you or dislike you is going to affect your rise. It must be based solely on your performance, based on merit. It must be transparent. It must be measurable. And these are the ways in which the UIC is going to lift Jamaica up. So the Youth Employment Solution Program, changing the role or revising the role of the Army to become a truly border control agency that will prevent the guns and ammunition coming in, and making our police true professionals that are paid as professionals and treated like professionals in terms of their housing, their work environment, and all of that. And then we have to make sure that we revisit our education system. We have to revisit the education system and look carefully at what is it we have as an education system in Jamaica and how that is working. The current system is failing miserably. Every year, more than 70% of our students are leaving school ill-equipped for the world, ill-equipped for the society, or at least ill-equipped to create the society that we need. In fact, they're graduating more and more of the type of persons that will feed into maintaining the kind of Jamaica that you see here today. The kind where politicians can manipulate the people by buying their votes, by tricking them with, all kind of gimmicks, as opposed to building a population of highly intelligent, very informed, very responsible, civic-minded citizens that can really hold their leaders to account. Build it, and that's why they're afraid of the diaspora. You see them now playing around with the diaspora. That's because the UIC is making inroads with the diaspora. So now they're all trying to find ways to placate the diaspora to see if they can fool them too, because the UIC has drawn the diaspora into the dialogue to say that we believe in you and we want you to be a full part of the equation here in Jamaica. So now they're playing more and more games to get you. But watch this. They are afraid of the diaspora. They're afraid of returning residents like myself because we come with a different attitude and a different mindset because we've lived elsewhere and seen that Jamaica can be much better on. So they can't fool us, you know. So don't let them try to fool you or try to school you. Let us, all of you in the diaspora, say to them, you have had your chance. You have had 78 years to do all the right things, and you've used that 78 years to do all the wrong things. So we can't trust you. No matter what you say, no, we can't trust you. To trust and give the UIC a chance to see if they, having not failed us in the past, if now they can be given that opportunity to build the kind of Jamaica that we want. So back to education. If we're going to fix this country, we're going to have to fix our education system. And that begins with the understanding that we need to stop having the mentality that says, if it's white, it is right. And that's why we have continued to maintain the Eurocentric kind of education system that we have in Jamaica. And it is failing our students, it is failing our country. So the UIC is going to bring in a Afrocentric education system, a system that is going to ensure that the African in us is respected, and that we, the people of Jamaica, fully understand our African heritage and understand how we can reclaim that heritage and how we can build on that heritage. One of the things I want to make sure come out in our new curriculum is that we need to understand why the African was enslaved and what we must do to make sure that never happens again. We also want to ensure the African understands how he is still being enslaved, albeit in a more modern form of slavery, where the chains are not metal but mental, where the whips are not physical whips but government regulations designed to whip us into failure, and taxation which are designed to oppress us and give preferences to the PSOJ oligarchs and the foreign masters or colonial masters, who are then able to use our politicians to use our political system to divide us, and use our politicians to play gimmicks and distract us, while they and the PSOJ oligarchs and the colonial masters extract our wealth away from us. So we are going to have to open the eyes and minds of our students so that they understand what was done to us and never allow it to happen again. So our school system must teach civics, but let's be careful. Let's not allow ourselves to be fooled by titles only. Somebody say, "Oh yeah, bring back civics in the school." You must ask the question, what civics? What will be the content of that civics education? Will it be the kind of class where it teaches a superficial idea of governance, or will it be a kind of education that teaches you to analyze and understand cause and effect relationship? So you can see, for example, how the current system is designed to concentrate power in the hands of the prime minister, to encourage corruption by linking the legislative and the executive, and creating gatekeepers with extraordinary powers to undermine your economy while doing it subtly without you even realize. For example, you need to understand, the idea of a central bank. And why is it that the central bank is so-called independent? Because Making it independent really makes it independent not only of the government of Jamaica, but by extension of the people of Jamaica. So you're being ripped off without even knowing it because your education system was not designed to ensure that you understand what is being done to you. So let's back up for a second. The way the UIC is going to design your education system is to ensure that we focus not on you passing maths and English and preparing for a job. We want to prepare our students for life. We want you to be a true blue citizen, a person who can think, analyze, and make rational decisions across disciplines, from the sciences to from the natural sciences to the social sciences. Understanding first of all who you, how to develop your mind, your body, and your personality or character. We want to make sure that when you leave school, you have a distinct command over your mind, your body, and your personality. Yeah. So you understand how to develop your mind properly. You understand how to, um, uh, what you say, take care of your body by understanding how the body works and how to eat, how to drink, how to sleep. Yeah. So you understand all the things about you so that the doctor can't even fool you. You can have a proper conversation, an intelligent conversation with your doctor, not a case where you just sit there dumb and whatever he tells you goes. You need to understand, and you understand how your mind works and how to mature that mind. And you understand your personality. We have different personality types. You understand how to build a quality character, and that your greatest asset is your character. If you build a sound character, that will take you far through life. If you build a good attitude, because it is by your attitude that will determine your altitude, how high you grow in your organization, in your community, in your society, in the global community. So the first that the child understand himself and then understand people, human behavior, so that he or she can build quality relationships. A good relationship with um, your spouse, a good relationship with your children, a good relationship with your peers, your neighbors, good business relationships, partnerships, corporations, cooperatives, whatever it is, how to build and maintain solid, healthy, profitable relationships at home, outside the home, and even outside of our country. Yeah. So again, first, master yourself. Second, master human relationship. And third, we want to make sure our children master money, master the science of money, the history of money, the economics of money. When you understand money and economics, the politics of money, the political economy, you're in a position that no politician can fool you. No politician at all can fool you when you master these three core areas. You master self, mind, body, and personality. You master relationships, friends, family, business, and you master economics, money, how money works, how to make money work for you instead of you having to always work for money, how to plan for your retirement, recognizing you're not always going to be in a position to work at the same level. You know, life is like a bell curve. You start as a mature and then you go downhill in terms of your physical constitution. So you're not always going to be able to earn at the same level you started with. So you need to be able to plan for that. But most importantly, you need to understand economics enough to not be fooled or tricked by an investment planner, by a cunning politician, by some banker telling you a whole heap of jargons while distorting the reality of what they're getting you into. You know, so we want to make sure that when a child leaves school, those three things are fully covered. The rest of schooling now is to augment that. I know that's not the way it is right now. The way they have it right now, you're for academics. And the idea of focusing on academics is so you can get a job. And really what they're preparing you for is to become a wage slave. The UIC don't believe in the wage slave business. We believe you need to have an education that prepares you for life. And when you have that education now, you can choose your own path and your own destiny. You're not a slave to the private sector. You're not a slave to the PSOJ oligarchs. You're not a slave to the colonial masters. You're not a slave to your boss. You are simply a highly informed, highly intelligent, civic minded citizen that no can fool. Now, when we raise the level of our graduates right across the board like that, just think about the kind of Jamaica you're going to live in. It's the one where the driver understands the importance of driving on the right side of the road, being patient, being courteous, following the road signs, and recognizing that that's the optimal way to live in a society, because doing the other ways is detrimental both to him and to others around him. You follow me? So that's why we want to do this. Now, continuing on the idea of this education model. So we talked about the fact that the model is going to, make sure you master self, master human behavior and relationships, and master money and all that kind of stuff. But then you still need to learn the academic subjects, but you're going to learn those differently. The student is now going to learn the academic subjects in a cross-disciplinary way. So we're not going to teach anything in isolation. So you're going to do physics, chemistry, and bio together in a way that links it with language and communication and mathematics, and links it to technology and trades. So what you're going to get now are far more intelligent. I hate the phrase, but let me use it for simplicity. A far more intelligent labor force. I hate that phrase. I only use it because you'll quickly get what I'm saying. But we don't want the labor force. We want citizens, intelligent citizens, trading value for value with each other. It's not We're not producing labor force for some group of people that think they're better than others, and they are the privileged industrial class, or the private sector class, or whatever, or capitalist class. No, we want to build a society of equals. Now, equal doesn't mean you do the same things, or you think exactly the same way, or you get the same compensation. But equal in terms of we're all here to provide products and services to each other as a way of trading value for value for our mutual benefit. So we're going to change the mindset of the economy. Nobody is being taken advantage of. Yeah? You're now going to be in an economy where you understand that your economic value is determined by the demand for what you do, how well you do it, and how difficult it is to replace you. So you're going to recognize that it is your job as an individual to fully develop yourself, to take opportunities, your competences, so that you can be able to do things that is of high value to others and cause high value to come back to yourself. Yeah. So you're not one of those persons who will keep or handout dependent or looking for a welfare scheme from government. What you want instead is an opportunity to, and by the way, you're going to even create these opportunities. You're not just looking and saying, please give me an opportunity. No, you are going to go out there and make your opportunities, because now you have a governance model, a country that prepares you properly from the education system, a country that protects you properly with a security system and a border control system that ensures that you're in a position, if you wish, and if you're willing to work at it, you're going to be in a position to maximize your earning potential. And you will always remember that the president said that your economic value, no, not your social value, because all of us are valuable, to each other in different ways, and you have your loved ones and so on. So as a human being, you're innately valuable. But we're talking monetary now, economically. Your economic value is determined by the demand for what you do, what line of work you choose. Yeah. So what you choose to do is a key part of your economic value. What product you choose to offer the world, what service you choose to offer the world, what area of specialization you choose to engage in. Accountant, lawyer, doctor, engineer, plumber, auto mechanic, um, carpenter, um, programmer, uh, musician, police, whatever. So your economic value will be determined by the demand for what you choose to do. So if you choose to do something which is not highly demanded by others, then you must expect that you're not going to get a lot of value in return, because not many people need what you're offering, or maybe what you're offering, too many other people are offering it. So, you know, um, buyers of that product or service have so many to choose from that the value will be very low. So you decide what you're going to choose to specialize in, what you're going to say, this is what I'm offering the world, the society. So the demand for what you do will affect your economic value. On top of that, how well you do it will be a big determining factor. So you may be a carpenter, but if you're a lousy carpenter, then your value is going to be low and you're going to get less return, less value coming back to you for that. But if you're a brilliant carpenter, like the one I have a lovely carpenter um, uh, down in Santa Cruz there, I mean, anything I give him to do, the quality of the work is just tremendous. The problem is, because his quality is so good, it's hard to get him because other people so he never have enough time. So he doesn't have enough hand to serve customers because he's so good. And that's what you want. So again, he's in an area that is highly demanded, and the 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 quality of what he does, how well he does it, is so good that again his value is higher. And then the third element you have to be aware of is how difficult it is to replace you. If you're in a industry or holding a position within a given industry where you are not distinguished, you don't distinguish yourself, you are you're like a thousand others, then your value will be low. But supposing in a given industry, let's say you are a plumber in a given industry, so there is a demand for plumbers, and you may be a good plumber, but how do you distinguish yourself from other good plumbers so that it's hard for you to be replaced by your customers because they're like, we can't afford not to have this plumber because he's so is yes, the other plumber might be just as good as him in terms of the physical work, but maybe when he finishes his work, he cleans up the place so well. He while he's doing the work, he's so very courteous. Maybe he's he's so well groomed that it's a pleasure to be around him or her. Um, and maybe the kind of tools that he uses or she uses are such that he gets to do more precise work. So when he does the work, it doesn't fail quickly thereafter. You see what I'm saying? So if you understand what I'm saying here, that we want to create students who realize this. They're not coming out of school thinking that somebody owes them a job. They're not coming out of school to sit on the side and say, boss, give me a job now. No, they're coming out with the confidence and maturity of understanding the real life society that they're in. That they need to make sure that they choose a path where the demand for what they do is great and where they decide that they're going to do a great job and make themselves almost indispensable by the way that they perform. And they understand that that is the way for them to achieve great value by giving. So they will understand the concept that you don't go to the stove, the wood stove, and say, give me heat. They know that they're going to have to gather the wood, prepare the wood, light the fire by whatever means they can, and then they're going to get the heat. In the same way, you have to produce something of quality and give to others, and then you'll get back in return. So don't think that you must get a wage increase if you're not prepared prior to wage increase to do more than you're doing now. That's how you get a wage increase, by doing more than what you're doing now. You understand? And you must also recognize that if your present employer is not willing to pay you after you have demonstrated what I just talked about, then another employer will employ you. Or better yet, you become the competitor of your employer and be a better employer than that employer, and raise up a quality work uh, um, work group with great work ethics, and have that follow through. So back to my main point. We're going to change the education system, changing its paradigm to an Afrocentric system, throwing out the European approach. We're going to shift the focus from academics to whole person development, mind, body, and personality. We're going to have interdisciplinary studies, so you master the relationship between the subject matters and the education of the subject matters, so that when you graduate from the school, you're actually competent coming out of high school, and the same thing continues into college. On top of that, we're going to have a program, and that's why we're going to set aside the GCT for this in particular. We're going to make sure that every child receives the nutrition, the healthcare, and the education and housing that they need to be able to perform well. So we're going to put a premium. We're going to put a premium on human resource going forward. So we do that in the past, but the UIC government is going to make you, your child, the most important asset to this country. We're going to treat our children like diamonds. So we want to make sure that their mind, their bodies, their personalities are well developed from prenatal care. So we want to start by educating them how to bring high quality children into this world, how to ensure the maximum development of your child from before they enter into the world. So proper prenatal care, and then all the way through to what we call basic school. We're going to make sure that the basic school teachers are highly qualified and competent to bring out the best. So you're talking about having master's degree kind of persons teaching at the basic school level, the primary school level, and of course all the way through to university. Our education program is going to ensure that no child is left behind, no matter how poor your parents might be. You will be able to go as far as to the PhD level, as long as you have the acumen, as long as you have the aptitude and ability, you will go as far as you can under the UIC system of governance, because our greatest assets are now going to be our people. No more will Jamaicans be running away overseas because the government of Jamaica doesn't care about you as a person. That's going to stop. The UIC government is going to put you first, not people first, you first, every single individual Jamaican. And that is why the foundation of our philosophy is individual sovereignty. We believe in individual rights. And from that comes the collective sovereignty that makes us Jamaicans, that makes us Africans. And by that extension, we're going to impress and encourage, motivate, and facilitate the rest of the Caribbean world to join us when they see how great we have done. And by extension, the rest of the African continent to embrace what we're teaching here, and the entire African diaspora to embrace what we're teaching. And so you're talking about a massive transformation not just of Jamaica, but of the African people across the entire globe. But let me come back to reality. We're going to start first here in Jamaica. We are going to be the beacon of liberty and personal responsibility. When the world looks on, Jamaica will be the gold standard for governance, the gold standard for liberty, the gold standard for how you bring out the best in your people. The two major colonial parties, they've spent the last 78 years perfecting how to bring out the worst in us. And they have done very well at that. They have brought out the worst in our people. You can see it in our crime, you can see it in our economy, you can see it in our socialization. They have made us antisocial, violent, aggressive, mean, and corrupt. Scamming, scammers. The UIC is going to reverse all of that, a new mindset in Jamaica, and we're going to do that on multiple fronts. I told you before, the youth employment program, the border security with the army, the police services changes, and I just told you now about the education system changes. When we are done, you're not going to recognize the Jamaica we put out. It's going to be the Jamaica you could only have dreamt of before. We're going to revolutionize this thing completely. So with making sure that we love our people and love our children, to give them the nutrition, the education, the housing that they need, the parenting that they need by investing in our parents, helping our parents to learn again how to parent. Well, we know many of our parents don't know how to parent. There were babies or children having children. They were poorly educated and then they're now pregnant. And their fathers who didn't know what it means to be a father. I didn't grow up with a father who understood what it meant to be a father. But I learned from him nonetheless. I decided to look at my father and say, whatever he did, I can see that they were wrong. I won't repeat them, so I will reverse it. And so I made sure not to do the things my father did, and many other Jamaican fathers did: abandoned their children, disrespected their spouse, wasted themselves with alcohol and cigarette and promiscuous living. Those are unhealthy stuff. We need to reinvent ourselves and recognize that we can be better than that. We can be good fathers. We can be good mothers. We can be good communities. We can be a great country. And so the UIC is going to lead us in that path. I could say a lot more, but I'm going to stop now. I wish I could see your comments, but I can't see them because my technology has failed me tonight. I'm going to try one more attempt to see if I could see some of the comments that are coming in. Oh, here we go. I am okay. Good. So I'm seeing on another device here that there's JMH on. Let me see some comments here. Whoa, there are lots of comments here. My goodness. I have missed the opportunity to comment on all of these, but let me do a quick scan. Yep. Okay. Damian Smith says, Mr. Patterson, I like the moment, I guess the movement. Question: to accomplish that which you speak, the UIC has to be elected. What is the path to victory? The path to victory is for all of us who are listening here to join the UIC, volunteer, donate, and help us to win the next election. Okay? It's not just about voting. Don't sit and wait to vote for the UIC. Get involved in moving the movement forward. Paulette Angelo said, well, either way they stay and pay for their crimes, or they flee and face the indignity of being hauled back here like scoundrel. I guess that's a conversation about the Donnelly situation. Liquid Gold. Yeah, Liquid Gold April. I like that. Liquid Gold, I like your name. That's why I call my only business, in terms of just talking to my friends and family. I call it Liquid Gold. So I love that. The question or comment here says, they only copy your words, not your actions. Very much so, Liquid Gold. They can only copy the words, but they cannot mean what they say. because they have never meant it. They're not there to develop Jamaica. They're there to develop their own economic interest. Um, JMH says, without fear, I'm here, bro. Wonderful. Lurleen Robinson says, but why can't we see you people on the ground? I thought politicians go where the people are, especially hurting people. Lurleen, we are not full-time politicians, you see, nor do we have the money to go um, around on the ground, as you say. Please bear in mind that the other politicians you see, they're funded to the tune of, for example, in the last election, $300 million. We get nothing near to that right now, but we're trying. Last Saturday we were in St. Thomas, and you're going to see us in other parts as well. But we're limited in how much we can run around to different places. Most of us are at work during the day, you know. Um, uh, let's see here. Talk the thing, Sir P, says Omar Delgado. And Desmond Meyer says, good night, UIC family. One Jamaica, united we stand, divided we fall. Yes. And I see here Paulette Angelo saying again, it's about time we get a good measure on the kind of numbers. Something Don Anderson. How far reaches the UIC in social media? Okay, so she's asking how much ground are we covering? What are we looking like in terms of stats? UIC must touch base with the influencers. Make no mistakes. Um, yeah, couldn't read all of that, couldn't understand it. But yes, we are in touch with influencers. We don't beg them or anything, but you know, I have been interviewed by Wayne Lonesome. I have been interviewed by Jamaican Carlos. I have been interviewed by Unstoppable. Um, I have been interviewed by our good friends on Lynette and Percy on what is it again? Is it IRE FM? Trying to remember. You know, and a few others. So we're getting there, but do bear in mind that there's a deliberate attempt to block the UIC. If we didn't have that, everybody would hear about us already, you know, but I understand your concerns. Um, Amar Delgado says, them a chase out the resistance people and keep the domesticated. So true. Shop Boss says, you can't be giving them your ideas, sir. You are not coming out, sir. I need to see some of your shirt more in the downtown area and logo. Very much, Shop Boss. Please donate, donate, donate so we can put out more t-shirts and more flyers and more logos. For example, we can't even put up a billboard because a billboard costs roughly about $50,000 a month, and we can't afford it. So we can't even put up a billboard, for example. We can't even buy radio ads because it costs so much money and we don't have it. So if we want this to happen, my people, remember, the UIC is owned by you. You are the owner. The other two parties are owned by the PSOJ oligarchs, right? So they only talk to you to get your votes, but they're not going to do what you want them to do. They're going to serve their master. The UIC, you are our master. But unfortunately, we're not getting enough money to work for you properly as as your servant. You have to help us to serve you. So we're asking 1,000 persons to give $25 per month. I think right now we're up to about 45 such persons giving $25 a month. Of course, you can give any amount you have, any amount you can. But we have a target of we want at least 1,000 persons giving $25 a month, because with that $25,000, you will see us do all the things you're talking about. If we get that budget number, all the things you want us to do, you'll see it done. Just give us $25 US a month, and we will get it done. Okay? Um, Let me see here. What else am I? George Lynch says, yes, my general, love all you're saying. Need your help to run the country. Paulette Angelo says, that's what I'm talking about. at Shop Boss, third rack kind of propaganda, publicity. Not sure what that's about. I didn't see the conversation. Patricia Robinson says up UIC or UIC up. Big up, Patricia. Lion Rule says Paulette Angela, Mr. Chase Neal would be the ideal person to answer the question about social media. Yes, Chase Neal is our general secretary. By the way, let me tell you who they are. We have a chairman, Winston Wright, excellent chairman, the best we've ever had. We have General Secretary Chase Neal, who is really the operations director for the organization. And we have Treasurer Naika Williams, who is in charge of our money and doing an excellent job together with the Finance Committee under the leadership of Gary Alchow and other committee member like Owen Alchow and Miss Gordon, Emma Gordon. And then we have three vice presidents, Kenrick Gordon over there in St. James, and Donovan Moore, who is in Middlesex, and our good friend Daniel Burke, who is the vice president for Surrey. Then we have a number of directors, Janet Chakanowski, the longest serving director, I believe, and Dr. Harvey over there in Hanover. Janet is in Trelawney. Dr. Harvey is a long-standing member of the executive as well. And who else am I missing? Well, of course, you know, my dear wife, Charlotte Masada Patterson, who is a director as well, and would in effect be the longest serving director with me. So we have a good team working with. Well, let me continue. Paulette Angela says, based on what I've seen so I think Mr. Neal is quite overwhelmed with his duties. Really? Shop Boss says, Michael Manley, come out and talk to the people. You need to travel the path that Manley takes. Absolutely. But you need to understand the history of Manley as well. Manley was the leader of a well-established party that was well-funded and well endowed. So I would love to do what Manley did, but I don't have the resources that Manley had, nor an established party like Manley had. So you have to put things in context. Again, we need our donors to step it up so we can do the work you're asking us to do. Okay, let's see. 2 years left before possible election. Okay, so lots of comments here. I can't read them all. I'm looking to see if there's a question. I'll look for the question marks. Do I see any question? But lots of talking going on here. Really appreciate this, but if you ask me, I would ask the UIC to focus on behind the camera. Let people know them this way. So when the demand UIC is going, yeah, not a discussion here going on. Lots of discussion going on the chat. Christopher Stevens says, Mr. President is very consistent. Paulette Angelo says, campaigning is expensive. Money can better spent on social media campaigning for now. Very wise comment here, Paulette. Black people in US and Jamaica are beginning to see that black people cannot continue like this any longer. We have to do something different, something better. We are at an urgent place. Absolutely. That's Jojo, yeah, _123. Paul Angela says, see what I mean? Mr. President's technology should not be failing him. Paul, aside, come on, we don't have full control over the technology. You have, for example, if the powers that be decide right now to cut off this by cutting the internet feed, there's nothing I can do. They also can interrupt my technology. We have had a lot of hacking issues over the last several months. So, you know, we're doing our best, but given where we are, like if we had $1 million US to work with every year, for example, there are many things we could do, but we're just working. And one is, if I was doing little blogs, meaningless blogs or blogs where I am not a threat and the UIC is not a political movement, you'd see a lot less issues with our transmission and so on. But the fact that we are a political movement and a very specific type of movement, we are talking about upsetting the apple cart. Yeah, we're talking about things like extracting Jamaica from the monetary system that allows them to steal your wealth by stealth using inflationary monetary policies and fiscal policies that undermines the valuation of your currency and so on. So we are a serious threat, a very, very serious threat. So don't take this thing lightly. There's going to be a whole heap of issues, and they're gonna lead you to become even upset with us. But it's not us you should be upset with. They must be upset with those who are trying to keep us in bondage and oppressing and suppressing the UIC to achieve that. All right, some more comments here. Paulette says, I will donate, I will volunteer, I am a member. This isn't enough. More needs to be done. I need to do more. You need to do more. More people need to know in order to do more. I know that. And Shop Boss says, it's money. I'm going to donate. Thank you all so much. Basil Brown says, Mr. Patterson, I don't know how you would do it, but the island need some posters of you all over the country. And Basil Brown, that is so very expensive. Printing costs, difficult. But if we had the money, we definitely would do it. We want to print some banner. We want to put up some posters. We want to run some more ads on the radio and so on. But you know how it goes. There are ways and means to do these things, sir. I am not going to worry about any blockade. Thank you, Paulette. Help us out. Tell us how to do it. Show us how to do it. And help us to do it. I think you should do more videos like this, going in depth about the 10-point plan. I will. Thank you. That's Dan Kiki. I will try to do more of these. Um, Gloria Morris says good evening. Good evening, Gloria. And yeah, Maurice Williams, good evening, Mr. President. Good to see you. Good to see you're on tonight. Thank you, Maurice Williams. And Irma Campbell says Jamaica will never be better until we get rid of the JLP and PNP. Trust for Jamaicans, she says. Can't agree with you more, Irma. You're so right. Paulette Angela, sir, I know you don't want to hear this, but I genuinely fear for your safety and the movement if you continue to expose the money changers before you get into power. I totally understand, Paulette, but here's the challenge we have. If people don't hear with some degree of clarity what I'm about, what we're about, and what we're going to do, they won't have any reason to switch from the others because except that the others are bad. And sometimes that's not enough. Yeah. So I'm hoping to give our people clarity so that they know what they're voting for, what they're donating to, what they're volunteering for. So in closing tonight, my friends, let me say this to you. We're in this together. We must do this together. I cannot do this alone. You can't do it alone, but we're stronger together. So help me to create one Jamaica, united, strong, and free. Help me to achieve the UIC vision, which is to bring out the best in all our people. Help me to achieve the UIC's mission, which is to create a non-partisan constitutional republic that will protect the life, liberty, and property rights of all Jamaicans equally in a safe, clean, and orderly society. All of us can live, earn, and retire with dignity. We can do this. We must do this. Let us do this. Thank you and have a good night. Until next time. Bye-bye.